Hello, my name is Shamika, and this is my yesterday's and today's project. As far as the movie, there were three different discriminations: individual, institutional, and structural. As far as the Japanese video we watched in class, individual discrimination is basically behavior to the members of gender and ethnic groups and treating them in ways that can cause harmful effects. For example, in the video, they had the Japanese people um, very scared and treated them wrong after the Pearl Harbor incident. So basically, the government made them live in really harsh conditions, which were camps. But before they did that, they made them sell, and basically, some of them they made sell their properties and things in their house to get little pay. After they did that, like I said, they sent them to camps. These camps had barbed wire surrounding the camps, and they also had small stoves in them, and they basically had animals in them that shouldn't have been in there. It was very dirty, infestation, and they had them with small blankets, and it wasn't just one to a camp. It was a lot in the camp who had like one blanket. They had surveillance watching them in these camps, like they were in jail. It was very harsh weathers, and basically the camps were not well established as far as the buildings and architects, so it was very, you know, harsh to live in. And they also had these camps in the middle of the desert. Some was in bad conditions like that. So, for example, they had these people living here for about more than 3 years. And this was very bad for the people that were, Japanese, because they were just treated badly just because of the Pearl Harbor. And this is when institutional come into play, which is basically the treatment and unequal as a whole and a bias and basically discrimination that's going on towards a certain group or individual. As far as to the video, the government felt that since the Pearl Harbor incident, they were just like, you Japanese people are threats. You're untrustworthy. And it even stated in the video that two-thirds of the Japanese people were American-born citizens, and they still treated them bad. That was totally not right at all. And that's when structural discrimination come into play as well, which is basically rules and norms of routines and patterns and behavior structure that represent obstacles to a group or individual to achieving the same rights as everybody else in the population. As far as to the video we watched in class, the people who were treated bad in these camps, most of them, I believe 30,000 of them, entered the war, World War II. And this war, after it was done, everything, they even said that some of them can't even return home. This was horrible, which was a public opinion people who felt this way. There were a lot of them that didn't want them to come back home. As soon as the Japanese people were able to return home, which was years, like I said, 3+ years, they was able to return home from the camps. They went back to their home conditions. Like I said, most of them didn't have a home to go to because the government made them sell them. And the people who did have homes to go to, their house was demolished. Like people were going inside of them, taking items and stealing things. That was not right. And a lot of them, like I said, sold their products and sold their, things. The government did not help them at all with any assistance. A lot of them became poor and a lot of them didn't get no help. Then years later, Ronald Reagan was elected and he came up with the Civil Liberties Act, which kind of like stated that Japan people could be treated equal and that he declared like this is not right. They should be treated equally. I don't like how they're being treated. We can't do this. And that basically when a lot of it kind of calmed down and basically stopped. Calmed down. And far as now today's society, there's definitely discrimination going on. Those three things that I mentioned, far as the discrimination, individual, institutional, and structural, are definitely still going on in today's society. For example, institutional and structural is definitely, I'm kind of going to put that as one. But we're going to start off with individual, sorry. I say the individuals still exist today because police brutality, for example, with African Americans, there are young teens, there are older people getting killed by police because they might have pulled out a phone or pulled out for example, pulling out a bottle of juice, pop, CD player, and then they're getting shot because the cops think that it's a gun and they're feeling harmed. That's, like I said earlier, the definition is creating harmful effect just because they're black. Just because Trayvon Martin had a hood on, they labeled him as a criminal or labeled him as being scared or doing something wrong in the community just because he was leaving the corner store. And they felt that he was harmful, so they made a harmful effect towards him, which is watching him, scaring him, and he ended up dead. Next come into play institutional discrimination and structural discrimination. I will combine as a one. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because they kind of can compare and kind of come into one. And this is why I say this. Because we're going to talk about Mexicans. For example, Trump has trying to build a wall to separate Mexicans to go into America. That is horrible. That is definitely discrimination. That is definitely causing obstacles for them to be created equally like everybody else in America. And a lot of Mexicans that I'm sure about are working for lower wages than anybody else in the same facility. They're doing the exact same job description. That's not right at all. Also, when it comes to African Americans in education. As far as me being an African American woman and a Caucasian person, say that I have better credentials, experience, and education, and I'm doing an interview, and it's a Caucasian person that's also doing an interview as well, who doesn't have many experience as me in education, they're most likely to hire them first. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. And they're less likely to hire me, even with all the credentials and highly education status I have. That's just how today's society is. Also, as far as Muslims, they're being called, like institutional discrimination comes into play, or they're criminals, or they're terrorists. A lot of them aren't terrorists. Most of them mostly half of them were terrorists, but not all of them. But people still are discriminating them and treating them bad. And also, they can't even go anywhere without people looking at them crazy. And that comes into play with my interview when I interviewed a Muslim person. He felt that he can't go anywhere without people staring at him. That's still going on today. And my last example is after Hurricane Katrina. That's when structural discrimination comes into play, and like I said, institutional discrimination, and for even individual discrimination. There were an article that I remember reading about Hurricane Katrina when it was a picture of a Caucasian person and an African person picking up things that was floating in the water or that they got from houses. They said that African American person was looting, and then they said in the other picture with the Caucasian person that they were just picking up things and just gathering things. So how come the African American person was doing the same thing the Caucasian person was doing in the picture, and they labeled them as stealing? How did they know if the things that they were taking was their items? But society made that article look at the African Americans as if they were stealing. That's not right. That's discriminating. And that wasn't not too long ago. Overall, I definitely feel like discrimination is going on today. And I feel like if we don't come together as a whole and we do more protesting and come together as one, we have to stop this. Thank you.